Good morning. It is 10:32 a.m., a little bit late this morning. It is Sunday, and that means it is time for Sunday Club, a weekly Ruby on Rails live stream where each week we work on a Rails app together and look at different aspects of building Rails apps and kind of talk about whatever's going on with the application this week. So we are looking at the moment, so the application is an event ticketing and registration application that allows people to kind of organize events like a family fun run, for example, and we want to eventually get to the point of having people make group registrations. That's kind of the kind of USP of the app that we're going to try and build. And we do it for a few hours every week, maybe 2 hours every week, so pace is somewhat slow. And so you can see me looking down at my other screen. We are currently looking at Rails hosting. So last week, I was looking at Heroku alternatives. So we looked at a big list. There was like Doku, Scalingo, a couple of other things that I've already forgotten, Render, Hatchbox, some AWS stuff, and a few other things. You can check out all of the previous videos in the YouTube stream. But this week, I actually wanted to kind of compare last week to Heroku itself. So people are having conversations around Heroku because of the pace of general feature development, some big recent security issue that they've had, and some other various conversations around what it is to host a Rails app in Heroku in 2022. I've been a user for a really long time, and I just wanted to compare last week's experience. I haven't set up a new app on there since we did one in 2020 for this channel. So it's back in the YouTube feed, but I thought I was more likely to host it at Heroku potentially than Scalingo if the pricing was correct. So let's just dive in. And if you see me looking down, that's where my other screen is. So that's why I'm just having to look around the screen a little bit. All right, let's take a jump back to last week to this Scalingo account. So Scalingo was a very Heroku-like Rails hosting experience, and it was great. The setup was great. I found the process very straightforward. We were up and running with a live application, which I'm guessing I can probably open now. I cannot. I think we got it working, right? Like, what's the error that we're getting there? Okay, I didn't check that before the stream. Oh, because I destroyed the database because last week. So in the databases tab or whatever it is here, I can't remember which one it is, maybe resources. When you go to the Postgres dashboard, it just shows you the connection string, which had the username and password in it. So I destroyed that database because I actually didn't put any billing details in here, so there was nothing to do, but I just didn't want people going in and trashing a database. So, but I think I can just repopulate, right? So if I, how did I run? There was like a Scalingo. Yeah, okay, there's a Scalingo client, and then I must have run. Oh, here we go. Oh, I did this. Look. Do that again. So I basically just seeded the database. Just did a schema load. I haven't got any output of that, and there's no seed data. So great. Okay, so cool. We got everything working, and I was able to sign up, and that's a scalingo.io address. Super straightforward. So what I kind of wanted to do is do the same thing for Heroku, and then compare what the actual pricing difference would be, because I think the knock on Heroku is often the price. I get the feature development speed and stuff like that, but that's all a bit subjective, because if it sort of does what you need now, what do you need from it? Like, I've certainly got applications that are on Heroku that I just leave there. Like, I just pay them some money and I never think about them other than for like security updates, Rails updates, and just stuff like that. But I don't need anything new from Heroku to do that. I just push the code and I expect the code to work. And that's sort of the value I get in exchange for that money. Whereas if you're looking for new stuff from your hosting provider all the time, which I understand people do want new things. If you take Cloudflare, for example. I know they're not necessarily a hosting provider, but I get emails from them and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't even know this was a thing that you even vaguely did. And the things that you can, I don't even know what you can do with Cloudflare now. Like, it's mind blowing, the pace of new feature development that they have all around every aspect of hosting your application. So if people sort of want that from Heroku at the beginner level, maybe it's not there. I would imagine at the corporate level, it's probably a different story because they're probably working pretty closely with some of their big fancy partners. Sorry, I'm just going to pour my coffee before we get too much further. All right. To it. So let's go basically do the equivalent of this and see how easy it was. So we got there in 3 commits previously. So we're going to jump back to here. We've got a Rails 7 application. It's using I want to set myself a reminder because I want to come back to the conversation around asset pipelines and bundling and stuff like that. So I'm back on this Rails 7 branch. So we haven't got any Scaling Go specific stuff in our application anymore. And what I have is a Safari window with a new Europe-based Heroku app. So I basically clicked new application, gave it the name of our ticketing application. Let me bump the font size up here. And then you get taken here. So let's see if we can do this without doing too much effort. So let's see if I've actually got the Heroku CLI. Yes, okay, I have. I think whenever you call Heroku, it will see if it needs an update. Heroku update available, there we go. So can you do update, Heroku update? Make sure we got the latest version. Oh, it's a big update, okay. I wonder if it's, oh, it's going really slow, okay. I always remember their CLI updating really quickly. All right, let's kind of go through this. So let's open up. Sort of want to do this in here and just have the account open in this one. So Heroku Rails 7. There we go, getting started with Rails 7. With the CLI installed, Heroku is now available. Great, that's done. Create a new or upgrade existing Rails app where we've got an application, so we don't need that one. Add the Postgres gem. We know from last week in Scaling Go that we already have the Postgres gem. All good. In addition to using the PG gem, ensure that the config database YAML defines the Postgres adapter. So database YAML. Default Postgres. Yeah. Default Postgres. Yes. Okay, great. Cool. Create a welcome page. Well, we don't need that because we've already got an application. Heroku gems. Previous versions of Rails required Rails 12 factor. New Rails applications don't need this. The gem can be removed. Okay, well, we've never added that. Specify the Ruby version. So we need that in the gem file, just from reading those docs. We have got 3.0. 3.0.0.2 is potentially the latest. Oh, 3.1 is out. Okay, well, let's just go with 3 because I don't want to spend time on the stream doing an update, so we can just do 3.0. I don't think that they haven't like pulled that or anything. We should just upgrade it when we can get time. Store the app in Git, fine. I'm just skipping over anything that we know we already have. Okay, so deploy the application to Heroku. Inside the Rails app root directory, use the CLI to create an app. Already got. I've done that in the dashboard in the UI. The Heroku CLI adds the Git remote automatically. Ah, that's the bit that's actually helpful. So we would presumably have one called Scalingo. Yep, but we need to add one called Heroku. And so let's go over to our Heroku UI. Actually, let me pull the little thing up onto here. So that's Safari. And we want to add a where do we get our Git remote? Heroku login. Oh, we can just do this. That's pretty cool. Because what I was looking for in GitHub, you get like the path of your repo, and then you do git remote add. But it looks like the Heroku CLI will do this for you. Just tell it which application you want. We can do this, this. It does something. Oh, it needs us to log in. Might need to jump to the... Okay, I might just need to jump to the other screen just in case anything shows up related to my login, but I don't see why it would. It's all in one password. So bear with me, I'm just signing in. And then it should automatically, when I sign in, just jump back to, yep, there we go. So close that tab, move this back up here. So get remote Heroku 2. So then when I do git remote, now I get Heroku, origin, and Scalingo. Cool. So let's keep going with the docs. Deploy the code. Well, I haven't added any build files, but I think because I've added those bundler gems, I think I will need I think this will fail, but we can do this. So I've already forgotten branch run Rails 7. Well, actually we can do branch called Heroku. That'll get nice and confusing because the remote's also called Heroku. So git push Heroku. So this is the thing that we had with Scalingo, where because we didn't push to main, it doesn't do the build, so we can do, I think it was this. Yeah, okay, so you basically push your local branch and tell it that it's master on the other end or main or whatever yours is. Okay, so we've got the same issue again, which is that the platform... So if you remember, we actually had this last week. You can see this changes the source tree. We had, yep, allow Linux to add Linux to allowed platforms in bundler. Actually take that again. So we can do that. That does its good stuff. Okay, so now we should be back here. So I think we're going to get the error on, I think we're just going to have the same error. We actually can't build it without Node, but it should be able to do the Ruby side of stuff. So does this change our dashboard in Heroku at this point? If we refresh this, now that we actually have an application going up. Still got our deploy stuff, but it is deploying. So we should have under our activity tab. Yeah. Now we can see a build. And you can see you get logs in your CLI, but you also get it in the UI. So you can sort of see how similar Scaling Go is to Heroku. I'm guessing / hoping we're about to have a really similar experience, and then we can sort of talk about the pricing stuff. Have I got a build? I thought I added a build packs. File for Scaling Go. I thought I was going to have to add one here as well. It doesn't seem to have happened, and it does seem to have built all the JavaScript. Do you no longer need... So installing Yarn. So has Heroku just handled that? Because I think you used to need a build pack for that. So a build pack sort of lets the platform know, or like have add-ons specific to what you need in your pipeline. This app is using the Heroku 20 stack, however, a newer stack is available. Well, I just created the app. Why not just give me the newest one? I wonder if there's some trade-offs there that they haven't sort of opted in people by default. Okay, are we done? Can I go to this application now? I need to run. So if I open app. Whoa. Oh, okay, no, fine. So I'm guessing in the logs here, which are... Do you get the logs in the UI without an add-on here? Yes, view logs. Is this just a, oh, is this just a live tail? So if I... I'm assuming this is the same, like we haven't, yeah. So we haven't done DB schema load. So here we can do Heroku run Rails. So this is the same command we did earlier. Heroku run Rails DB schema load, and you can do minus. I always did that, which I think is -a. So that's I'm doing that from memory, but it's basically the same as the Scaling Go one. Again, this goes back to familiarity. I've just used Heroku a bunch of times. So you can see that we get Dyno spinning up to run our task. Up to complete. So can we now do this? Yeah, okay, great. So sign up. Great. Okay, so we are back to where we were with Scaling Go, where we have like a working application. All right, so let's... So we're sort of here at the same place. I would say even more quickly, but that's only because I didn't really need to do quite as much due diligence on the Heroku because I have used it before. I'm an existing kind of Heroku customer. Let's take a look at what this would actually cost me to run then. So I actually have the pricing stuff here for Scaling Go. And this we touched on last week. So I put in a small, kind of a small server, small container, and you can configure this. So I'm talking about like a hobby test dummy application that you just need live. So you're not running any real kind of volume or like you're not having a lot of users arrive at one time, but you're also not having a lot of users arrive over a long period of time. Well, I guess over a long enough period of time. But you can kind of configure this. So let's just go for the cheapest thing. You just want to show someone a proof of concept and you need it to exist on a domain. I think that's 1440 euros a month. And as far as I'm aware, that's no Redis. I think. Yeah, there's no Redis instance included in that. So, and my understanding is that for the action cable stuff, you might need Redis. You need that kind of real-time data store. So let's do everything without Redis to start with, and assume that even if you need, I think does this come with background jobs as well? I don't remember. Okay, so let's do the same thing on Heroku. And this was this crazy pricing page, right? Where it's like, hey, you could probably run a multi-million-pound company, because you can. Like, large companies use Heroku to host their stuff. Okay, so free and hobby. You probably don't. We could have a free, but the downside to this is that the application goes to sleep. So there's basically your application runs, your dyno spins up, and then after a period of time, I can't remember what it is, it will put itself to sleep. It will scale itself down. And then the next request that it gets will wake it back up. So the next request will always be, the first request back will be slow because it has to spin up the dyno again. You can prevent that by like pinging it, or have like Pingdom or one of those services ping it all the time, but you get a number of hours per month that it can be up for free. Which is sort of perfect for demos. Like, you want to show someone, you don't care that the first request is slow because, you know, you're going to prepare it to do the demo. You don't need it to exist for more than 1,000 hours a month, because you're only showing someone when you're showing someone, or they're going to spend a few hours testing or playing with it. And it's free. So what more do you want? So let's say that we want... Let's say that we want a hobby dyno. Okay, so that's $7. Okay, so I know that this pricing page is complicated, but I like that it builds you a thing you can show your boss. Like, it builds you an email or a PDF. That's actually a pretty good show. Okay, so that's a server. So you can see that these scale up. So like, hobby is just that. It's a hobby. And as much of a kind of a knock as Heroku get for their pricing, like, I'm guessing they no longer need to offer this. I'm assuming this is some sort of like get new people into the product pricing thing, because they really make all their money, I would assume, over here. Like, if you're paying $500 a server. So the fact that they offer this, I think, is like, I don't think they have to. I'm not saying that they, you know, it's not charity or anything, but it wouldn't surprise me if there were conversations within Heroku or Salesforce at some point that's like, hey, could we just ditch anything below $25 a month? Which for a developer tool is not crazy expensive. Okay, so we have the same thing for the database. That we have... What's free? What does free get you? A row, let's say 10,000 rows. Okay. Again, if you were building an application that just needed to like do one thing a day and process like a few hundred or a few thousand records for I don't know, a Shopify store or something like that, like, it could be free, which is pretty cool. $9 a month gets you a functional database, basically 10 million rows, which is a lot or not a lot depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So let's say we want a proper database. Well, not proper, but like, we're going to store more than 10,000 records. So it's $16. So that's basic. So that's the equivalent then. So let's see what that is in GBP. So this is 1440 euro in GBP, £12.40, and this one is 16 USD. 1305. Okay, so it's a pound. No, 60p more expensive, 65p more expensive to run your app on Heroku. Let's see what Redis adds. And also, that 65p, that's like the conversion of currencies could adjust your quid either way here. It wouldn't surprise me. So we're basically saying they're roughly equivalent. Let's add Redis in because I'm still not in the full Hotwire action cable world. So I don't have Heroku Redis. Here we go. So we get I'm not in that world. I'm not using that in production or anything on any applications, but I'm going to assume that all of the other free accounts are so limited as to be demos, basically. So I'm going to have to assume the same thing here, and I'll just say that like it exists. You could again have a free Redis account, but you probably don't want that. Okay, and I can't have this one, but I have to have, okay. You selected an app type of free and hobby and chosen a Redis that is intended for production applications. Maybe this one is enough. 25 meg doesn't seem enough to do anything with. You can still add it? Well, maybe 25 megs a shitload. I actually have no idea how much you'd store in a standard Hotwire app. You'd add this one for $15, which doubles it and gives you twice the number of connections. It's nice that it's still an option. If they're like, hey, you probably don't need this. That's actually a nice touch. So that's $31. Let's add a Redis database on here. So again, I went for starter on the for the lowest one, 720. Get you to 2160. I have no idea if those are equivalents. So that's 2160, which is £18, and this one is now at 31. Okay, so Heroku's definitely tracking ahead, and I think that would probably stay true all the way through. But it's not an order of magnitude, and I know that would then change as we start to ramp up into full dynos here, and there's I think there's a bit of abstraction away as maybe you can't be as granular as you would want in Heroku. But one of the things that I sort of notice is when I'm in this dashboard and go to like resources and like add an add-on, it's a pretty limited choice, and I have to sort of self-serve a lot of other things. In our Heroku dashboard, when we go to resources and do find more add-ons, this marketplace is very well served, and there is that incumbent benefit of it just having a really established marketplace. So you're going to pay more money, fine. But you might save some time depending on what you're looking for with Heroku. Again, the pace of development I'm sort of leaving out here. That's not really a huge issue for me specifically. Let's take a look at the thing I am interested in here. Is I mentioned last week that I love the review apps feature here. No configuration. Configure repository deployment method to be able to use review apps. It's kind of annoying that it doesn't just link you to the thing you need to configure here. How do we do this here? Go to deploy. So on Heroku, you can. I'm just gonna show all of my pipelines for other applications. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm just on the other screen just for a second. I just want to know if it's going to start charging me straight away. Just going to copy this link and put it in this browser. I just want to run through like how review apps. Yeah, so review apps, like I said, you push a Git branch and you can configure Heroku to basically build an entire version of your application with add-ons, config variables, all of that kind of stuff. And that all happens automatically. And then you can, you get a URL for it. I've actually worked on ones where you can configure that URL to be like, we had an API call that would interact with the DNS server. So we would actually get it built out a subdomain of a specific staging area domain, which was really cool because you get these kind of pre-deploy and post-deploy scripts. So you can interact with third-party APIs and they give you the details of the app that's just been deployed so that you can pass them to like a DNS service or something like that. So, and again, once you've scripted it once, you then just pushing the branch up or making the PR or whatever your trigger is, making the PR builds the app, and then you could have it email all of your QA team, or you could have it ping in Slack or Teams or whatever you were doing. And you could say, hey, this review app is available, blah, blah, blah. You could have it, I don't know, what could you have it do? You could have it pull through the PR description into Slack to tell people what the QA steps were if you happen to put them in your pull request descriptions or whatever it is. You could do what you want. So I'm not going to run through the docs for that because I sort of know how they work. But what I want to know is... So pipelines is the feature that's wrapped around review apps in Heroku. So pipeline, is there a blurb around it? A pipeline is a group of Heroku apps that share the same code base. Each app in a pipeline represents one of the following stages in a continuous delivery workflow: development, review, staging, and production. Pipelines are extremely useful for managing multiple environments in your app. Common pipeline workflow has the following steps: pull request, review app, merge into master. Master is deployed to the staging app, and then when a change is ready, a developer promotes the staging app to production, making it available to the app end users. The pipeline overview page illustrates this. So yeah, it's almost like a Kanban board or a Trello board, but each block represents an actual instance of your application. One thing I haven't done, I've always deployed to production separately because there was a blocker on us using the promote to production step, but I can't remember what that is. Can't remember what that was. After you fully tested a change in a particular stage, you can promote its associated slug to the apps in the downstream stage: development, staging, production. Okay. I'm just trying to skim through and remember why we couldn't do that. And I think... Just wondering, is it like... Sorry, it's still skimming through, because you can use the config and stuff. So as you as you promote the application, the repo config files add-ons must be managed independently. Right, here we go, this one. So deploying via pipeline promotion is recommended only for apps with stateless builds. Builds that compile configuration variable values into the slug, i.e. stateful builds, can encounter issues when promoted. For apps with stateful builds, use Heroku's standard... Right, okay, so this was something we faced on that project. Yep, it is not rebuilt for the environment of the target app. If your builds bake in environment from the build app context, then your slugs are not portable between pipeline stages. This may be the case, for example, if you're using Ruby on Rails and the asset pipeline to build asset hosted at CDN defined by a URL in your environment. This is because URL specified to the build app will be baked into CSS and JS files. We're working. So that's why we couldn't use it. So I'm glad I found that because I knew there was something there. However, the only thing that prevents, to go back to our picture at the top, if you're looking at using this, is the final promotion step. And for that, you can just either use the CLI, or you can just use the Heroku UI, or you can have it configured to automatically deploy to production once your builds on master have passed. So you can configure. You don't have to use this promote to production on Rails. There's not a huge penalty for not using the promote stuff. This is still a valuable feature and gives you review apps as well. One of the downsides is how much it costs. So Heroku and Heroku CI. So Heroku CI will run your tests for you, and it would also offer you the option of like, hey, the tests are passed. I want to check out the pricing of this. Is that not included in here? Kafka add-ons. Oh, they've kind of suggested some add-ons here as well in that marketplace. Options for teams. Here we go. Okay, great. So Heroku pipelines included, Heroku review apps included. That didn't used to. Oh, here we go. Heroku CI is $10 a month. Oh, interesting, because that was that's presumably what you can now replace with GitHub Actions and trade off the pricing there. So this is how do you get review apps if you don't have the pipeline? Okay, great. So I'm interested in that. How do you configure review apps? That's actually what I want to answer. Let's get into that. No configuration. So let's do scaling go first. So the answer is we want review apps, basically. That's what I want to solve for. No configuration link to configure repository deployment method to be able to use review apps. And deploy configuration. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to add this to my GitHub, so bear with me a second. Just gonna do it in off screen just for a second, so you're gonna see me looking down a bunch. Because there'll be potential to show my GitHub stuff. Okay, so okay, so authorize provider for my private GitHub account. Okay, great. So I then want to link a repository, select organization. Okay, hang on a second. I can't remember. The repo is just called GoodTix, right? Oh, is it under an organization? Hang on a second. I think it's under my organization. Hang on. I know this is all off screen. Oh no, there's an organization called Good. Oh, okay. Oh, fancy. Well done, Max. Okay, so I actually think I need to give it explicit permission to access that organization, which I haven't given it and now don't seem to be able to. So that's fun. Okay, so I think I have to disconnect my... Okay, hang on a second. I'm going around in circles here. So I now need to disconnect this from here. On an interesting note, I am being offered GitHub Copilot now, so maybe we could do a stream about that. Okay, how do I... How do I disable this? I need to turn this back on. Where is that? Where is that? Applications, integrations, applications. And this is called Scalingo. Revoke. Okay, now I need to do it again. Give it the... Okay, it hasn't picked up that it's lost the GitHub integration, and now I can't add the organization. To it. Okay, so they probably need to go to settings. Okay. How do I disconnect GitHub from Scalingo is the question I'm trying to answer. I'm sorry this isn't on the screen, but I am just because I'm showing all of my GitHub stuff, or it potentially would show. Actually isn't showing anything too scary at the moment, but I want to remove this GitHub config from my Scalingo application because I didn't set it up right, but I can't see how to remove it anywhere. I want it to... Ah, here we go. It's in my user settings. Okay, great. So now I have to go back to my apps. Great. Then back to deploy, configuration, GitHub, connect account. Right, this time I need to grant it for that specific organization. Then when I link a repo, it's that one, select a branch, could be master, whatever. Okay, automatic. So then we do review apps. Great. Okay, so in here, automatic review apps, edit. Automatic reviews. Okay, so auto destroy review apps when the pull request is closed. Delete after n hours. No deploy commits after. So let's say 24 hours. Just destroy them. Okay, is that turned on then? Automatic review apps enabled. Update. Okay, that's not doing anything. Okay. What? Do we need to make a pull request? We can make a pull request because we've got 1 billion commits to commit. So we could do git push origin Heroku. Actually, I tell you what we could do. We could just take it back to the Rails 7 one. Oh, whoops. Git push origin Rails 7. So we can just quickly make PR. This is a dummy PR to test review apps. And it must have 1 million. That's how oh my God, there's more. That's how much I have to rebase onto master. Stupid thing. Okay, great. So that's going to do its thing. 55 commits. There's actually not I mean, there's a lot of changes, but like that's not a crazy amount. Okay, so we've now got a PR. So if we refresh Scalingo, okay, so we could do this and we could create a review app. Could not create review app. The manual review app did not function. Can we configure this to be on automatically? No. Okay. Well, let's go and see what Heroku does, because Heroku is the one where we basically say that we don't get a pipeline for free. Oh, sorry, what did it say? It said we get review apps for free, but not CI. So how do you do review apps without having a pipeline? So it says pipelines connected to GitHub can enable review apps. But I want a pipeline, but oh wait, was it? I get pipelines included, but not hang on a second. I'm getting confusing myself. What was free? Pipelines is free. Review apps is C. It's CI we don't have to charge for. Okay, so let me go back in here then. Moving it again back to the other screen. So I want to create a new pipeline. Just going to call it the same thing as the app. Choose a stage to add this app to. Well, the current app can be production. Okay, so we have... Okay, so we want to dismiss CI. And how would one enable review apps in here? Review apps management is not available. Connect to GitHub to use review apps. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Again, I'm on the other screen, but I'm going to connect this to the GoodTix organization, like we had to do for Scalingo. So this is basically the same for both providers, which is fine. They just need access to the repo to do... They need to know there's a PR in order to do anything based on a PR. So we're going to connect the same thing, connect the repo. That's worked. Review apps can be enabled for this pipeline. Okay, so now I can bring this back up here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Enable review apps. Enable. Create new review apps for new pull requests automatically. So wait for CI to pass. When enabled, new review apps will wait to deploy until CI passes. Yes. And I want them in Europe. Destroy stale review apps automatically. So this is kind of the key part here where you can configure your review apps to have chargeable add-ons or chargeable sizes. So you're building a dummy version of the pull request, but you might need it. You might say, okay, well, we want to do load testing, or we have so much seed data that we want to try that we can't use the smallest database, or we need, I don't know what it was, like I don't know what it would be. But anyway, it doesn't matter, because whatever you can have for production, you can have for a review app, but you will be charged for it. And the billing is all prorated. So that's why they then say, well, you can destroy the stale review app after whatever, like one day, but you could also script that if you wanted to. Like you could say, well, build the review app, build a dummy version of my app to test on or to demo on or QA or whatever you're going to do. But you could turn them all off at the weekends if you worked Monday to Friday, or like only have them on business hours or do whatever, because you can rebuild them if you want to. But like that becomes like a cost to maintaining all of that versus just running them. So we'll say we're just gonna leave free stuff. Well, we'll destroy them after 30 days. But no, let's err on the side of safety and put 1 day. But ours is only gonna have free stuff anyway, so we're gonna enable review apps. Right, that is one advantage of this one, is that this one has worked. I'm sort of wondering if this didn't work because my billing information isn't in here, but it's not telling me that that's the error, but I haven't put any billing information into Scalingo, so I'm wondering if it's saying, hey, you can't have review apps yet because we can't bill you in case you build a bunch of stuff. And this maybe goes back to like platform maturity. I wonder if it's like they just haven't got there to edit those error messages in. But we should now be able to do something like, where is our pull request? This has failed. Why has this failed? Something in, oh, we haven't updated our, okay. It's literally failing at the first hurdle, but we haven't run a pull request. We haven't run our CI on GitHub for ages, so we can fix that next week. So the wait for CI to pass part, we could probably turn off. I wonder if we can force one. Oh, that's pretty cool. You can specify. Yeah, that's cool. That's great that they're free. I'm into that. My memory of it was that you used to have to pay for the pipeline to get review apps, but the fact that they come for free and you can configure them for free, and they now only charge for CI, which you might end up paying for through GitHub Actions running out of time or anything, probably free, depending on how often you run them. And also, it's only $10 a month. And I know that people are like, for hobby projects, that's a lot, but also it might not be for what you're trying to do. And it is really helpful to have everything in like one ecosystem. It's also, a real dependency lock-in from their point of view. There's a reason I have those applications just paying every month. But that's been a really good run through. Can we actually force? Can we force? Yes. Okay, so we can force the review app to be created here. So it said wait for CI to finish, but you could also just click the button. And if you didn't have CI, you could just say, well, we made it. Here we go. So view log. Oh, we haven't got that latest commit. So we can, we can actually rebase that in, can't we? So, I think that was the only other, oh, sorry, hang on. That was the only change on that branch. We didn't have to do anything to get it running on Heroku at all. So I think we can just do git merge Heroku. Yeah, that was the only change. Really impressive. So git push. So that should have updated that PR. I don't know if that then, yep. So then it tries to rebuild the review app again. The review app will watch the PR and try and rebuild itself. I think it might only do that if the app has failed to build. I think if it's been a successful build, I think you actually have to manually redeploy, but I could be wrong on that, so you might need to check it. And this will just build, because we know that it'll build because we've already got this one over here, which is production. Staging is, I've actually done dummy staging apps before because you can have your review apps inherit things from staging, although I think these days I would probably just configure the app.json file, which is where you can give your review app specific config. I would just put everything that they needed in there. I don't know if I would need to do the kind of staging that they inherit from these days. Maybe, I can't remember. All right, holy shit, have we been going for an hour? What time? All right, being up for an hour. It might need to be a quick one today. Just focusing on Heroku because I have to drive my partner to the airport today, which no one wants to do. And as if by coincidence, I was watching When Harry Met Sally was on the telly last night, and he was like, he's like, never drive someone to the airport. Okay, so goodtix.herokuapp.com, dummy version of the site. Amazing. That's our production environment. Here is our review app. And I don't know if it will have run schema load. So this hasn't run db schema load, but it will have tried to run potentially. Maybe it doesn't do anything, but you can create an app.json file and tell it to run db migrate, I think. And you can tell it to run db schema load, and then seed or whatever you want. So you can basically configure these review apps to kind of pre-do that. But also, you don't. You can also use them as if they're totally normal, fully fledged apps. So here we can also do what we did earlier and do Heroku run Rails db schema load. And the app, instead of being the production app, would be the name of the review app. So the review app is fully, it's like a real, it's a full Heroku app. It's everything you need and can be configured. And we'll take a look at an example app.json file actually. So that should now work. So it's got its own database. You can configure the size of it. It's got everything you need. You can seed the data. So you would seed a bunch of test users for your QA team or whoever, and then you can, as I said, you can then configure it to like ping in Slack when the review app is up. Hey everyone, there's a new review app up. You don't have to use the Heroku app domain because you can have it ping a DNS service and have the review app point to a subdomain or a new domain or something like that. DN simple is where I've done that from, and there was like an existing script. It was like super straightforward to set up. Yeah, really great. And so that's an example of review apps. We couldn't get it working with Scaling Go. And I have to say, like, I was super impressed by the service, but the fact that Heroku review apps is free and I don't need to pay for the pipeline, I thought I would have had to pay $10 a month. Makes me think I would probably pay the slight kind of like 10, 15% extra for Heroku. A, because I know the service, B, because it just seems a little more like the marketplace stuff. There's just like some more stuff that I would use more quickly. And I from a hosting provider for a dummy project, I basically want never to think about that side of things. I just want that stuff to just go away and focus on the building and the fun, like clicking around and stuff. So I think we might leave it on Heroku, although I was super impressed with Scaling Go, and could easily like see myself moving forward with that as well. It was really good. All right, it's a short one today. It's been very Heroku focused. Hopefully, if you haven't tried review apps, it was useful. I'll try and update the description for mentioning review apps, because I don't know, people searching around might like to just kind of see a quickie version of getting them done. Oh, and the one thing I was going to say is we will just take a look at here we go. So what you can do is example app.json is have this app.json file in your repo, and you will get right, scripts post deploy. So here is bundle except rake bootstrap that's running a rake script, but this could be whatever you wanted to. Environment variables you can set. You can have them inherit from another application, or you can just specifically set them in here, which is pretty good. Size of the servers you want, that contains dynos, things like that. Here's the add-ons. Again, the add-on is the name of the add-on, but also you can pass like the size of the thing that you want. So that's anything from the marketplace, and that's how much you might pay for it. So you can be like, okay, well, I want Open Redis, but I want this size. I want Heroku, and I want this version. So each thing from the add-ons library will have a set of params you can pass to it. Build packs you can define. Scripts you can define. Yeah, so all good. And there's a full set of docs here to run through. That's how configurable these review apps are. Really, really helpful. I've always found them really helpful. That's where you can go to take a look at those. All right, that's it from me because I've got to drive to the airport in a minute. We are going to move on from hosting for next week because I just sort of wanted to get this up and running. And now that it's there, we can start to push for it. And next week, I think we are going to do, I don't know, like we're pretty much there other than the fact that it looks really rough. So do we do more UI stuff next week? Maybe. All right. Let me have a think about that. Have an amazing week. Oh, no, I missed something. Right. One last thing. Asset pipeline in Rails. I mentioned last week or the week before that someone had started putting together, let me take this off here. Someone had started to put together some, here, this one here. So this repo had gone together, and it was this idea of what you should do, what you should use, and whether it was good for production or not. In Discord, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned on on Twitter, I think I linked to it. I'm gonna find out if I linked to it. I'm not really a huge Discord user, but this has sort of been getting me into it a little bit. I think I linked to it here. Yep, so I did. So check out the Twitter account. It's Sunday_club. And there's an asset pipeline channel, and this conversation is sort of ongoing about making the docs more explicit about what you should do if you need Node, what you should do if you don't need Node, and kind of an awareness for new people turning up, existing applications, all of that fun stuff, because we're in this kind of transitionary, whatever, state. So if you're interested in either reading or being part of that conversation, go check out the official Rails Discord server and jump in there. And there's a room or something called Asset Pipeline. All right, that's it. I got to go. Have wonderful weeks, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. And we will try and get this application looking a bit nicer, and we'll run an event. Let's try and commit to it. Next week, we're going to try and start our event on the application. Maybe. All right. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you all